Hello, my name is John Desnoyers-Stewart, and on behalf of my colleagues, I will be presenting on our VR installation, Body RemiXer, and how we extended bodies to stimulate social connection in our immersive installation. In developing Body RemiXer, I worked with this wonderful interdisciplinary team from Simon Fraser University and the University of British Columbia. This project could only be realized through this creative team's diverse expertise. Body RemiXer is a social experiment that explores how copresent VR can help connect people. We counter trends that focus on telepresence and isolating the immersant from their surroundings, and instead connect the immersant to those around them. In this presentation, I will go through the theory that motivated us, some inspirations that guided us, the design hypotheses that arose, and our observations of a public exhibition of Body RemiXer before briefly touching on our future direction. Virtual reality technology promises us access to new realities, but this often comes at the cost of dismissing the reality that already surrounds us. More and more virtual reality content is being shown in galleries and at festivals around the world. However, a significant portion of this work is designed for private, individual consumption. The headset is a window to another world, but a blindfold to our own. It often blinds the immersant to their social context, preventing them from seeing or interacting with those around them. Not only can this make the immersant uncomfortable when they realize that they have become a spectacle for an unseen audience, but it transforms public space into a private one. Blinding the user to their social reality diminishes the interactive installation's power to act as a catalyst for social exchange and the formation of new connections. In relational aesthetics, Nicolas Bourriaud states that the contemporary art exhibition creates free areas and time spans whose rhythm contrasts with those structuring everyday life. In doing so, the artwork creates a site for social exchange. It provides an opportunity to rethink our social interactions, to strengthen them, to alter them, or to completely reshape them. Bourriaud claims that relational art is an art form where the substrate is formed by intersubjectivity. It is founded on the relations between subjective experiences. Following somaesthetic interaction researcher Christina Hook, we understand that this intersubjectivity arises through intercorporeality, or the relation between bodies, and that intercorporeality can be mediated through technology. In the case of immersive media, we can mediate the body directly, mediating intercorporeality through the body. Inspired by this, in Body RemiXer we ask, how can we use VR to activate the body as a site for social exchange? Artist Nathaniel Stern offers a hint at distilling these theories on intercorporeality and relational art and applying them to answer our question. He states that interaction is a limitation, but it is also an amplification. At its limits, interactive art disrupts our relational embodiment and thus attunes us to its potentials. Unpacking this, we begin with a simple example of social interaction. Those involved communicate through many channels, following established social conventions based on the context. With immersive installation artwork, we limit the channels through which they can interact. The VR headset gives the artist control over what is visually presented to the immersant. Through this process of limitation, those channels are amplified. The immersants focus on the visuals that they are presented with, which are amplified through the design of the system. This limitation and amplification alters the relation between bodies, disrupting conventional forms of interaction. The artwork changes the way social relations are presented, perhaps masking identities or blurring the boundaries between bodies, as is the case with Body RemiXer. Through this process, the immersants become attuned to the potentials of their relational embodiment or intercorporeality. For example, by focusing immersants on movement, we might encourage them to dance. Instead of using the headset to escape to another reality, it becomes a tool to attune our senses to the possibilities in our own social reality. Body RemiXer was informed and inspired by several other immersive artworks, which laid the foundation for our work. Cave brings all immersants into the same co-located virtual space, acknowledging the social context and allowing participants to share in their experience. Invisible Walls investigates copresence between a headset wearing Immersant and spectators, represented by abstract forms and enabling the Immersant to feel copresent at a distance. Body RemiXer takes this co-located interaction further, bringing the headset wearer into the same space as the spectators and enabling them to interact on the same level. Body RemiXer was also inspired by the Machine to Be Another, which allows Immersants to see another's perspective through synchronized movement. We were inspired by the concept of sharing agency over each other's bodies. While this experience can give Immersants the sense of being in another body, it focuses attention on the similarities and differences in the body's appearance. Body RemiXer was designed to retain the focus on the movement and form of the physical body without reinforcing superficial appearances. And We Are All Made of Light, Maya Petrick captures bodies as simple shadows made of light to create a sense of unity through abstraction. Similarly, we created an abstract silhouette, or aura. This abstraction was meant to focus Immersants on the body and movement, encouraging connection that goes beyond the surface. To better understand what Body RemiXer is and how it works, I would like to show you this short video summarizing the installation. The system uses a Kinect to track bodies, transforming them into ethereal auras in the virtual experience. The visuals are displayed on virtual reality headsets and projection screens that act like mirrors of the virtual space. The experience begins from the moment onlookers notice the installation from afar. They can watch others play and interact with the piece, becoming spectators of an impromptu performance and entering whenever they desire. Upon entering the active space, Immersants see their ethereal reflection fade into existence in the projection. Particles swarm around their body, appearing as a kind of virtual aura. Immersants can put on the headset and find themselves surrounded by the virtual space seen in the mirror projections. Their body and those around them are transformed into auras of energetic particles, each with their own color. The identities of friends, strangers, and oneself become blurred together. Seeking to understand this new reality, Immersants reach out towards these strange bodies. Another person reaches back to them in response, and as their hands make contact, they find their aura bodies suddenly connected. Particles fly between their bodies, breaking the previously clear boundary, uniting them and creating a sense of connection. Connected, the Immersants hear a faint drum beat. Through their shared movement, they discover that they can control the loudness of the drums. Moving in response to one another further strengthens their connection. By touching both hands together, Immersants swap their bodies. They see their partner's aura superimposed onto their own, reinforcing the similarities and discrepancies between them, and drawing their attention towards each other. Through this shared aesthetic experience, Body RemiXer activates bodies and mediates social norms. Our design was focused around connection and informed through an iterative process in which we developed the following design hypotheses in practice. First, we hypothesized that the design of the particle systems would draw attention to certain aspects of the body. The close adherence to a human figure in solo mode allows Immersants to explore and embody their particle body. Exchange mode is intended to create a sense of connection through the movement of particles between bodies, breaking down the boundary between them. Finally, swap mode overlays Immersants' bodies onto one another, allowing for a sort of shared body that focuses their intercorporeality. We hypothesized that mediating identity would allow for connection. We used unique particle colors for each body to enable limited identification while creating ambiguity in identity. Through the abstraction, we hoped to suppress the prejudice connected to superficial appearances and create a common sense of identity. We also hypothesized that beyond visuals, touch would be the primary mechanism for connection. That touch would connect the Immersant to the virtual environment by solidifying its realness. That the synchronization of touch and visuals would allow for embodiment in the abstract body. And most importantly, the touch would allow for connection to other Immersants. Finally, we hypothesized that rhythm would enable synchronization. We used drums to encourage rhythmic movement while reinforcing synchronization by making the drums louder when movement was synchronized. These design hypotheses allowed Body RemiXer to become a site for social exchange, a prototype of what immersive intercorporeality could look like. Body RemiXer was shown at the Fun Palace Carnival of Mixed Realities in 2019. To understand the social effects of Body RemiXer, we observed Immersants' behavior in person and through video recording. We saw examples of large groups exploring the installation, learning how to use it together. We observed many instances of dancing, even between those wearing the headset and those outside. Many Immersants were seen high-fiving each other, as expected, but many other examples of touch were also seen. For example, we saw people hugging and holding each other, suggesting that people were connecting physically through their bodies as hoped. From these observations, we drew 5 themes pertaining to social interaction. The first is the emergence of an audience-performer relationship. The installation became a stage for impromptu performers surrounded by spectators, taking pictures and watching the unfolding performance before eventually becoming performers themselves. The altered relations between Immersants showed that the context of the installation disrupted social conventions. Immersants' performances may have been normalized as their attention was drawn towards one another. Headset wearers' social inhibition appeared to be further reduced. They seemed to follow a distinct set of social norms as indicated by observations of touch that would not have ordinarily occurred between strangers. And this also presents a challenge, as the divergence in social norms creates some tension between the headset wearer and others as they interact in different social contexts, an issue which we plan to resolve by using multiple headsets. While wearing the headset, the only way to identify others was through the sound of their voice, a strategy that some Immersants subverted by playing a game of virtual hide-and-seek. On several occasions, we observed Immersants using the fluidity of others to hide, tricking the headset wearer into confusing them for another person. Through this mechanism, Immersants may have become more open to interacting with every participant in the space, transcending social boundaries. We observed some indications of intercorporeality as Immersants moved in response to one another. Some instantaneously synchronized their movement, while others watched and then repeated or responded to others' movement. Immersants demonstrated their discoveries to one another and helped each other to put the VR headset on, creating subtle opportunities for connections to emerge. Even after the experience ended, the effects of Immersants' altered relationality appeared to linger. While many connected with people they knew, the tactile interaction encouraged connection between apparent strangers. In one instance, an Immersant met and connected with someone while wearing their headset. They sought to find their partner after removing the headset, but were unable to as they had no way to identify them. Their partner's disappearance may have led them to connect with others as they sought to re-establish their connection with an unknown other. We continue to investigate the potential of such immersive systems, researching the phenomenology of embodying an abstract body, and studying the potential for immersive installation to connect people. With the ongoing pandemic, our research has shifted towards creating telepresent experiences, investigating new forms of telepresent communication that focus on enabling remote intercorporeal relationships are essential to overcoming the limitations of the platforms that we currently rely on. While this pandemic currently prevents exhibiting an installation centered around touch, in its wake we will find ourselves even more disconnected than before. While essential in the interim, the current practice of avoiding other humans will need to be overcome to return to a pre-pandemic level of human connection. As a result, strengthening genuine social connection through copresent interaction will become more important than ever before. We continue to be optimistic that we will get through this pandemic and are hopeful that you can join us in Laval, France to see the next iteration of Body RemiXer at Recto Verso 2021. In conclusion, I would like to leave you with a quote that I think is incredibly relevant to the development of immersive installation and VR art. In 2002, Nicolas Brouillot claimed that the role of artworks is no longer to form imaginary and utopian realities, but to actually be ways of living. I ask you to consider this in the immersive works you create, experience, and share. How can immersive artwork improve our lives and guide our future reality, rather than escaping it? Thank you for your attention. Please feel free to get in touch if you're interested in our continued work in extending bodies to stimulate social connection.